Welcome to the Rock and Roll Show podcast. I'm your host, Alex Gadd, and I do this because I love talking about music with people. Finding out what kind of music someone's into and how they got into music in the first place allows us to get to know and understand one another better. Today, I'm excited to have my first return guest, Nick deMatteo. Nick is an actor and producer in both film and theater, as well as being the singer, songwriter, and producer for his band Rec. They've released 11 albums now since 2004, the most recent being last year's Kite to Camden. Additionally, he has a multimedia project called Music is Not a Genre, which includes original music and a YouTube channel that includes a podcast. And that is the only podcast that I've been a guest on to date. And that was episode 6 from his 7th season. So if you want to go check that out, please do. Now, Nick has started a new project. He's a song coach, and I can't wait to hear all about what he's been up to and what his song coaching business is all about. So stick around for my latest conversation with Nick deMatteo coming up right now. Nick, thanks for being here today. How are
I'm
you?
great. Thank you for having me back. It's good to see you again.
You too. Really good to see you. So, when we last spoke, you were just about to release Kite to Camden. I know you were planning to go out on and do some shows to support that. That was last fall. So, catch us up on what you've been up to, and then we'll get into the song coaching.
Sounds good. Yeah. So what I did last year was I released Kite to Camden on Bandcamp, which if you go to recarea.bandcamp.com, you can find it there. And that was kind of a soft launch. And then earlier this year, I want to say it was June, I don't remember the exact date. I released Kite to Camden worldwide on all the streaming services, etc. If you go to nickdemateo.com/music, you can get all the links there. And we've released a bunch of singles from the album, the most recent being the song Me Happy. And I'll be releasing one more related song. It'll be a remix of the song You Know You're Right by the end of the year. And yeah, we did some shows and all of that. I've got one kind of, I would almost say it's the valedictory show coming at the end of January, January 26th, at a place Otto's Shrunken Head here in the city. And I will be presenting the album in its entirety using modified backing tracks, and I'll be singing and playing some instruments and making it almost like a combination music show and theatrical presentation.
Wow, I want to go. All right,
All
that
right.
sounds good. So, while you're doing that, you've started a new endeavor, and that's song coaching. I can imagine what song coaching is, but why don't you just lay it out there and tell us what you're doing with this?
Okay. Yeah. So it's been about a year and a half. I've been working with an amazing business coach who caters to everybody, but specializes in working with people who are in the arts and in music in particular. And like any coach, she, goes over the actual particulars of business and how to set things up, etc., but also works on what motivates you and what kind of gets you to the next place you want to go to. And we agreed that the thing that has always been the most important to me is my music, the songs.
Mm-hmm.
Being a singer, songwriter, producer, put those three things together. That's me in a nutshell. And because I have such a passion for it, I'm so connected to it. One of the things I've always wanted from that is something you may have talked about with other people called sync licensing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I've gotten some of my songs on films and television and things like that over the years, podcasts, various projects, mostly indie projects. And I've been pursuing a sync licensing deal for years.
Why don't you
Happy.
tell everyone in the audience what it is so that everyone's up to speed?
Oh, that's a good idea.
A
Yeah.
sync license.
So let's say you create music, you record the music. If you are watching a movie, TV show, and you're hearing some music in the background, a commercial, even if it's a song that let's say somebody, a Radiohead or something like that, very common that a more popular band, more popular songs will be used if that company can afford to use it. But very, very, very often, these productions look for independent music. And that sync licensing means they're synchronizing the music to picture, to film, to television, again, to web, to commercial, anything that has a video component to it. But also audio, again, like I've done podcast theme songs and things like that. And it tends to be for a musician, because streaming revenue is so almost non-existent, and
Hmm.
revenue from touring or performing can be difficult to, make your nut, let's say, just get over your expenses. That if you can get into sync licensing, you have a living, you're making a living. So
Right. It's passive income,
yeah,
and
yeah,
that's
passive income,
great.
exactly.
Good. All right. So you're working with someone to get more placements, or do you have a deal in place, or do we want to cast a wider net on this podcast to find you a deal?
I mean, hey, if you you know anybody, yeah. So what happened was I saw another colleague work with the company, and I said I'm just going to reach out, and like most of the outreach, you almost never hear back. And I heard
Right.
back, but then I didn't hear back, and then I didn't hear back again, and then I re-approached it from a just I had a brainstorm again because of this business coach and because of the work we're doing on the song coach, and I'll explain how that's connected to all this.
Sure. Yep.
And what happened was the person said, well, we're only looking for this one specific kind of music, which in this case is a lot of productions are looking for 90s music. And she's like, I love your new album, but that's not gonna there's no fit for what we're looking for. And I said, oh, well, I happen to have been recording since the 90s. And long story short, just for those two EPs and one album, I now have a sync deal with this company.
Cool.
So yeah,
That's great.
I'm
And
very,
that's the beginning. Once
yes.
you start getting placements, I imagine it tends to build up.
That's, yeah, I think once you get it's just like anything. Once you get a reputation for being a go-to person for something, then you get more of that. I
Right.
mean, that's the hope. So it's just in the beginning stages of that. But, a lot of this is a fortunate thing, and hopefully it will come to, something, but a lot of it takes both time and money. And time is something, if you have it, you use it as much as you can, because the effort that you're putting into finding what you want is how you get it. That's, you have to be consistent and diligent and all of that. The money is this, that most outlets for sync licensing ask you to pay. And so if you want to submit a song to a film, they'll say, we have that, and oh, I have the perfect song. Well, it can be anywhere from $5 to $25 per song submission. So
Ah,
you need a little kitty there off to the side that doesn't go towards your bills and rent to pay for the pursuit of sync licensing. I hate the model, but it's a model that's been around for at least 25 years at this point. There was a
mhm.
company that kind of started it all, sort of, called Taxi, that anybody who's done original music knows that name. And I've avoided Taxi for years because it used to be that for the most part you could find sync licensing without having to pay for it. But like most models these days, if you want something, you have to put some money in. So my business
Right.
coach and I said, hey, what's a good way to make this revenue doing something that you still love, that's still connected to what you're doing, but that it's sort of off to the side, that doesn't put all of the burden on that one singular pursuit, which may take years.
Right.
Yeah,
Diversify. Diversify is always a good business
that's so
idea.
true. I love that. I had a production partner, a good friend for over a decade, and that was our goal. This was years ago. We worked from like '03 to 2015 or 16, and we always talked about, let's quit the day job, or if we can't quit it, at least diversify and have more than one thing going on. And what happened, one of the things that led to this song coach business, is that in 2018 I had been working at the Bronx Zoo for over a dozen years, and I was manager of the audiovisual department. It was a nice career and everything, but I knew that wasn't what I wanted, but it was supporting things, you know
Hmm.
it
Sure.
but then it took a lot of time and effort, and you had to push other things to the side, or things you wanted to do just took longer, which is kind of what happened to me. And in 2018 I was let go, and then for about a year or two, thought, well, let me get another job just like that, because I can do it, I've got the resume for it. And there were no jobs out there, anything like what I did at the zoo that paid anywhere near the amount of money. It just wasn't worth it. I did a couple for a couple of months, and then the pandemic hit, and I said, well, there's never been a better time to reinvent what's going on. I'm finally going
Right.
to do that diversification model and see how many things I can throw at the wall, and whatever sticks will be what will, help me make a living. And so
Yeah. Good.
I started my podcast in 2019, and over the last 2 years started to monetize that to a certain degree.
But I'm still waiting for that.
You-
You're giving me hope for
Oh,
sure.
I have a recommendation after the fact I can give to you. That's working
Great.
pretty well for me so far.
Great.
And music, I've done performance. I'm now currently in, I think, 5 bands. So
You still doing the Beatles Fab
yeah,
Faux
I'm doing
thing?
the Prefab Four Beatles. We're
Yeah.
doing another band called 1989, which is 80s, 90s music, 70s music a little bit.
Right.
And then we do another one called Gin Fizz, which is jazz. And then I'm in a band called Joy Buzzer, which is another guy's original project, and he's actually
Mhm.
signed to Steven Van Zant's record label.
Wow.
So
Wicked
it's
cool.
kind of, yes, wicked cool, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you know your stuff. Uh,
Yeah.
and he wanted to start another band that is a Fountains of Wayne cover band, which
I saw some Instagram posts that you were putting up there about that. So I wanted to ask you about that too. One of my favorite bands from this century.
that's awesome. Yeah, same with us. I mean, the three of us love it. The drummer's a friend, so he's part of Joy Buzzer, so he came along for the ride. But we've just been in love with that band since their first album in
Yeah.
'96.
So brilliant.
Yeah,
So
and so
brilliant.
we did our first show this past weekend. It went incredibly well, and then so there's
Oh, great.
yeah, yeah, and we have another one December 20th. So it's a going thing.
Where's that one? Tell me. I want to come see you. So
Okay.
this is a good
Yeah,
excuse.
so that was so December 20th at Parkside Lounge on Houston Street. So in
Yes.
New York
Cool.
City. Yeah. And then the sixth band, I guess, is my band Rec, which, fills out the roster. And so those are some of the ways I diversify, make money. And then I edit other people's podcasts, and I do voiceovers, and I did a commercial for a HVAC company upstate 2 months ago or so, 3 months ago. So all the little things that help to bring it in. But my business coach was like, "What can you do that's that one thing that really is solid?"
Right.
And she kept saying, "Well, you're a musician. Why don't you teach?" And I said, "I did that for 10 years and I never want to do it again." It it burnt me
You mean
out.
giving lessons to people?
Yeah, yeah, I did
Yeah.
piano teaching, some voice and guitar and bass and theory. And I mean, a lot of the kids were wonderful, and I had some adult students too. The parents were a little more difficult to work with than the kids at times.
I can imagine.
Yeah, and so eventually, that was when I was living in New Jersey. When I moved to the New York City, I quit that. I mean, I had to. That all my students were down there, and it was one of the
Right.
best moves because at that point I knew that I couldn't do it much longer. So I had been
Yeah,
avoiding.
it burns people out and it doesn't scale. It's not a scalable business. It's just how many hours in a day can you get lessons?
Wow. Yeah, that's a great point. Absolutely. I mean, in
Yeah.
fact, Jed, the guy who writes the songs for Joy Buzzer, is also a teacher by day, and he says the same thing. Now, the only thing that scales is you can raise your rates, but that rate raising is
Right.
not that, it's 5-10% a year or
It's
whatever.
still not a game changer. Yeah.
Exactly,
It doesn't
exactly.
change your tax bracket for
Yeah.
sure.
And I knew, okay, so she said, "But you've done it. Why don't you do that?" And I was like, maybe, no, no. And other people were saying the same thing. And then I just gave it up and said, I can't talk about this. Let's talk about something else. So for a few months, we were just talking about sync licensing and some other things. And then she brought it up again, and I don't know why, but it was like that my back brain had been working on the problem or something, and it just out
Right.
of nowhere popped. I'm going to teach songwriting. There's nothing I
Awesome.
love more than creating a song and taking something that I have. So I have this here. This is an old notebook. This is a notebook from the 90s and early 2000s. where I was writing songs in it to perform acoustically at coffee shops and things like that. And it earlier this year, I decided I'm going to do a project that is not a rec project called Valley of the Unreleased. And it's going to be about 30 to
I love it.
50 old songs that I never ever recorded, or I recorded on a 4 track that, wasn't up to par. And I'm going to, take them, hone them, and record them and put them out next year. And in doing that, it made me realize that part of the art of songwriting and the craft really is, just because you think an idea is is crap or is unbaked, or there's a germ in there that intrigues you but you can't seem to put it together, doesn't mean that that's a dead song. There are always
Correct.
ways to get that song into shape.
I have 6 composition notebooks filled with bad or mediocre songs and lyrics mostly that I've never done anything with. Like, I just have song after song after song, and I have no idea. I have no way to parse which ones are good anymore because I've been living with many of them since the early 90s.
Yes, right. See, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And what I found really interesting about going back to these old songs was some of them, I mean, I'm fortunate in that there were at least a few songs throughout my career that gelled enough to be, that would say were worthy of recording and releasing and all of that. But it made me realize how many dozens and hundreds of songs or parts of songs and things.
Yeah.
I have a freezer bag of little lyric scraps and things that I just keep in a drawer somewhere. And I'm like, wow, I forgot about all this. And to
Right.
see, like, now going back to those and saying, I know what I should have done with that one. Or I
Mm,
know why I abandoned that one and that was never going
right.
to work, and all of that, to feel the development of, I really understand what it takes. Like you talk about your, songs, that I could look at them and have a conversation with you and say, well, what did you intend with this? What were you trying to do with it? Where were you going? And what kind of song did you envision this to be? Is it just the idea of writing it as a complete song? Did you want it to sound like a country song or like a pop song, or what have you?
Right.
Because there are certain different, structural elements and things like that, and considerations. And then taking all of that into consideration, your original intent, and in terms of where it comes from inside of you and the style you want it to be, then start honing it and putting it together to the point where it becomes a song that I say it on the site, the best version of the song that you could want. And and
Right on.
and
That
part of
sounds
that
great. It
is,
sounds like you're going to be my song coach.
all right, there you go. Hey, all right, got a client. So
Got a customer.
So yeah, so I've been working over the years. I've been working, and there's at the bottom of the page, which is nickdeMatteo.com/the song coach, is
Great.
testimonials, and it's testimonials, people I've worked with over the years prior to even starting this business formally. And they're wonderful people, is all I can say. And really what it helps to illustrate is that I don't go in and write my version of your song. That is not the idea. If somebody said, I have raw material, I don't want to do anything with it, you take it. Sure, I'll take it and create a song out of it. That's something I would do. But the
Mhm.
songs I created for them were, what is it that you want from that? It's not my job to say, oh, I can whip this into shape and make it into the best whatever music I like. It's okay. You wanted this to be as raw punk as possible. There's this guy, coincidentally, his name is Alex, and I've worked with him for years and years creating originals and cover tunes and things. And he can't play an instrument. He's teaching himself to sing. He's an actor, so he's very presentational. So he wants it raw and
Mhm.
punk where he can just scream everything. And he brings these lyrics and says, I want it to kind of sound like this, but I want it to do this. All right, let's get started. And we come into you're looking at, one end of my studio right now. We come right in here and start, working the song, and then eventually recording it and back and forth until it's how he wants it to be. And so far, the people I've worked with have really been satisfied with the results.
Okay. So I have questions.
Yes.
and you tell me if I'm on the right track, or you describe it for my audience, and will help me understand it better, and hopefully send out the call to the masses that you're out there offering this service. So the first question I have is, you can do this remotely, I assume. You don't have to be in New York City to do this with you. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. And in fact, the only link on that page is book a free 30-minute call. And it's there like
Hmm.
6 times. So the first call is, let's just talk and see what's going on with you. And is this a right fit for you? Is it the right fit for me? A little back and forth to see where we both stand. And after that, that model can stand, which is, it would be a 1 hour session on Zoom or Riverside or whatever service is comfortable for both of
Right.
us. And we can work completely remotely in that way. Yeah.
Great. The second question, just in case anyone is, I wouldn't say delusional, but has very strong aspirations of finding success as a songwriter, do you claim partial songwriting credits when you help someone shape their song?
That's a great question, because so I had done an original version of this site that had more detail, and the coach was like, save that, use that as like a secondary pamphlet or something that you can use with more information. And one of those questions was answered, which is, the initial model is, I don't contribute anything to the song lyrically, that would be of substance. Let's say if you come to me and you don't know anything about chords and structure, or need some help on melody, I will guide you to find the things that you need. And I'll be honest, suggesting chords to me, eh, for me, doesn't constitute a songwriting credit. It just that, when we get to the recording stage, that's a bit of a different story, because if I well, actually, it may not be, in that you're paying me for a certain number of sessions. I am
Okay.
a session musician, I'm a session producer, I'm a session whatever you
Mhm.
might say.
So
My
it's all work for hire,
Exactly,
basically.
all work for hire.
Got it.
Now, if we're working and working, and you say at some point, I am stumped, I don't know what to do, I need you to write this next verse, then we enter into some kind of other agreement. But I will say that every single person I've worked with so far, that has not happened once. And
Yeah, and
why?
that's not your goal,
It's not my
right?
goal,
That's not
not even
your
remotely.
primary purpose,
It
right?
it complicates things in a way that's not good for either of us, and it
Hmm.
takes away that main objective, which is, you want to come away with a song that's come from your heart and soul and brain, and it's yours. All right, so I don't want
Yeah,
to control.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's a big part of it. So that will, I imagine, allay a lot of fears for people who have less experience and understand less about how the business works, but still want to get their own songs out. They're not giving them away, or giving away a slice of it, because that's not really what it's about for you. It's about helping someone realize their dream, their vision, their art.
Yeah, and in fact, if they do want to get to the point where they want to, fully record it, which is not a necessity, that's kind of an after the fact. Our
Hmm.
sessions are about creating the song and making it as great as it can be. But if they want to go further with the recording, I will even help them place it, distribute it, so that it's out in the world, and it will be under whatever their artist name is, and the information that's put in that distribution portal will be all theirs.
So, what do you see as the biggest hurdle to getting your business out there? What are you doing to promote it, other than coming on this incredibly popular podcast right now?
That's it.
What else are you doing to promote the service?
Well, I actually thought this would just give me all the business I needed. So
Well, this
yeah,
probably will.
kind of
Yeah,
okay,
this
good,
probably
good.
will.
Well, that's exact, and that's really this business coach. By the way, her name is Jas Bianchi, and she works for,
Yeah, let's give her a plug for
yeah,
sure.
it's a company called Finders, Findrs, and like I said, if she's your kind of people, which she is my kind of people, you will hit it off with her immediately and just want to work with her. And she's
Right.
been just a gift for the last year and a half, 2 years. And so part of it is setting it up, understanding my motivation the way I would with a songwriter, so that as much of me comes out in the creation of the business that gives that personal connection, and then test marketing it. I've sent out several dozen emails to other executive coaches, to firms and places that might benefit from this kind of a service, and
Yes, yes.
seeing what the feedback is, and then finding those ideal customer avatars, they would call them, and targeting them very specifically. And
Right. Marketing personas, basically.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
And so it could be anybody, but if you want a certain type of sustainable business and a certain type of clientele, then you need to think along those lines. And I'm just really parroting what she taught me. And we've come just recently across the fact that there are four kind of ideal clients for this business. So we're taking that information and creating marketing and phone scripts, things like that. If we do the free 30-minute call, whatever it is, to eventually spread far and wide. Social does something, it doesn't do a lot of things, but eventually advertising and stuff like that. And target marketing the way I've been doing with the emails. And the more we hone those down to those four, avatars, I think that's what she's saying is that's the closest. That's where you'll get to the point where you're going to get your clients coming in, and then it's word of mouth after that.
I have a couple more questions.
Yeah.
When someone works with you, did they come away with any recorded material? Do you like cut a demo track with them, or is that additional, not necessary to completing an engagement with you?
It isn't necessary, and it's something that we can lay out from the beginning. So,
Hmm.
after that 30-minute call, we say, "Okay, let's do it." Then the general model for this is 6 one-hour sessions over however long a stretch you want. I don't think you
Right.
should do more than one a week. If you want to spread them out every 2 weeks, a month, what it takes you to get to the next stage, fine. But within those 6 sessions, if you say, I want to come away with a great song by the fourth session, or a song I like by the fourth session, and use those last 2 sessions to record a demo version of it, then we can do that. But that is not
You could try to do
necessary.
that. I mean, you can't guarantee that'll work, though. Right.
No, no. And that's
Yeah.
the thing. That's part of the process is the only thing I can guarantee is that you will come away from those sessions knowing more about songwriting than you ever did before, and
Awesome.
with a song that is better than it was. And not just better than it was, but complete. Like, it is a song
Yes.
that you will feel confident that you can share with others and feel good.
Then the last question I have about the actual service is, do you help your customers, your clients, submit their songs that are now finished, quote unquote, to any professional bodies so that they can actually register them and protect them for copyrights?
So what I would do, depending on what they want from me, if they say, where do I submit? I'll give them all the info, because part of this 6 sessions is they can email me as much as they want, and I will feed them back the information they're asking for. There's no
Great.
limit to that. If they want to do that themselves, I'll say go to BMI or ASCAP or CSAC, if anybody using that, and go to CD Baby or DistroKid or TuneCore or whatever if you want to distribute, and all of those, and show them this is what you put in, etc. If they're in the middle of it, they have questions, I can answer them. That's part of it. If they want me to do it, then that's another, okay, well, we'll add on to that, those 6 sessions, and that's,
Got it.
kind of a rate for that, and I'll just do that for them.
Okay. Well, that for me kind of rounds out a good vision of what the offering is, and I hope for everyone who's listening.
Great.
And then also, as you noted at the beginning, it helps with references, because once you have a couple of good references, they spread the word for you and they become your marketing arm. Is
Yeah.
that how you're seeing it as well?
Yeah, and in fact, this coach I talked to recently, because part of what I'm trying to do is sort of do partnerships where it's like, well, if you know clients and I know clients and we can refer them to each other because we're offering different things, but they're related enough that they might benefit from it as well. And
Right.
and she
You
said,
create a network,
yeah,
basically.
network. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And she had some insights to what I'm doing that even my business coach didn't have, because she's been doing it for so many years. and works very much with the corporate world.
Mhm.
And one of the things she said was, well, two things. One was, a, she has never heard of another coach who does this, who's using a
Yeah,
song as a
neither have
model.
I.
Yeah. So, which for some reason surprised me. I don't know why. I guess because I haven't really been part of that world for very long. But she also said that it's not just the benefit of, I have this passion that I've hidden because I'm a, lawyer, or in finance, or what have you, and I haven't had the time or energy or confidence to want to do anything with these songs, which is, that's, to me, in and of itself, is worth it. But it's also what you learn from finding ways to express yourself like this, and part of that coaching process is getting at the core of where you're coming from, and what might have been even holding you back from writing this song is,
Mhm.
can be translated and transferred into other parts of your life. So if you are a lawyer who's litigating and you're up in front of a court and you're reading from the paper, and that's, you've done really well with the writing, but your presentation is a little bit in need of fine tuning, learning how to express yourself from that other place, from song words often come from someplace you don't really understand. You don't know how you got them
Mhm.
there, and they often tell you things about yourself and your world that you could never have figured out otherwise. And if
I couldn't agree with you
so,
more.
yeah, you
Yeah.
would know this. And if you tap into this, that, and I found that even with me, the reason I got this recent sync licensing deal is because my coach helped me tap into a certain mode of expression on a business level that enabled me to understand what it was that the sync licensing person needed, and how we could connect in a way that went beyond just, I'm asking you for this and please give it to me. And that's what sparked that connection. And I firmly believe, because it's one of the things that has helped improve my confidence from being this guy who was in a day job, who I had been doing music my entire life and nobody knew I was doing music, because I didn't have the
Right.
confidence to be like, well, I'm not just an AV manager, I'm also a, musician, to getting to the point now where that's the only thing I will tell people I do if they ask me. I say, well, I'm a singer, songwriter, producer. And then if they inquire more, say, well, I do these five other things too. But that,
Right.
getting to that level of confidence comes from understanding what it is that was preventing you from just being that person and saying that thing and expressing it in a way that other people can understand. And to me,
Mhm.
that last part, that's the essence of a good song, is expressing what you want in a way that other people can understand and relate to.
That is very interesting. I know that in the business world, I know people who have gone and done community theater to get more confident presenting. This is another avenue for that. If you can put your words down in a way that's not just a stream of consciousness, um, blurting out of all your thoughts, but can actually arrange them into concise verses and meter and a pattern of any kind,
Yeah.
that has value in the business world in lots of different applications.
Yeah, and to me there is almost the drama to it in relation to theater, in that, look, there are writers who are as straightforward as you could possibly be, and I love those kinds of writers. Their language is colloquial, and yet they're saying things that may go beyond what they're saying, but it's very clear.
Right.
But then there are writers who are super esoteric and poetic, and that's also, it's difficult to do, and I admire that as well. I i think there's a sweet spot where you can put in a line or two or three of something that's esoteric, and then bring it all around to this clear nugget of just knowing exactly what it is you're communicating. And a pop goes in the brain of the listener where you're like, all of that stuff meant this. And if you can do that in a song, and part of my coaching is to not just get that one song into shape, but to teach you how to do it again and again and again.
Right.
You get that
Right.
skill in a song, that can translate into other parts of your life, where you say, let me tell you a story. And then you start, and it's this short story that people are like, why are they saying this? And then you bring it around to your point, and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe-"
Yeah, you nail it with the big finish.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's great. Speaking of, because everything in my podcast ends up coming back to Bruce Springsteen, have you seen the new Deliver Me from Nowhere movie?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Because it really should have been marketed very differently. Because really, what it is a songwriter's journey to finding the right voice for lyrics and for ideas and for songs ultimately. And how do you get those out in a way that feels true to you? And then do you consider the commercial nature of them or not?
Mm.
And it's really what that movie is about. And while it's not a great movie for a songwriter or a musician, it is a great movie because it does really capture the torment that even one of the greatest songwriters of the 20th century went through to get out these ideas that were on the surface very unlike the rest of his body of work, but really were a reflection of where he was as a person and his backstory as a young man and as a child,
Mm.
and then merging that into his adult already successful life. And so I think you'd enjoy it because what you've been describing is kind of like, boy, Springsteen should have had a song coach during that period. It really would have helped him shape some of these ideas instead of torturing himself night after night trying to figure it out.
Wow. That's the early 80s period, is it?
Yeah, it was right after the river. So 81 when he was writing the Nebraska album
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
and the Born in the USA album simultaneously. Two albums that couldn't be more different, where all the songs were written at the exact same time.
Oh my God.
It's fascinating.
Yeah, honestly, I'm very mostly cold with biopics because you can dramatize anything you want, but put enough of reality in there that you really feel like you're connecting with the real person. But just for the whole songwriting angle and that kind of journey, I think I really need to see this.
You need to, or at least Warren Zanes is the author of the book that the movie was based on called Deliver Me from Nowhere. That
Ooh.
is very insightful and goes much deeper into the challenges and the conflicts and all the other things. But either one, you should check it out because I think you'll recognize things that resonate with you very, very clearly.
It sounds like it will. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic. So again, we're gonna put up your website on the screen. We'll put it in the description of the episode. But why don't you tell everyone what it is again and how they can get to you to book that 30-minute intro meeting?
Great. Yeah. So the hub is nickdeMatteo.com, and that's everything's there, whether it's music or voice or this. And in particular, if you go to nickdeMatteo.com/the song coach, all one word, then you can find out everything you'd want to know. There's a video there that's 20 some minutes. It explains it all in kind of a more connected way. And then, right, any link that you click, you get a free 30-minute call. Or way at the bottom, you can contact me directly via email if you have questions even before the call.
Cool. What else do I need to know? What else didn't I ask you about your new project that I should have?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I feel like we've covered everything. I loved being on your show last year, and I was really excited when you had me back. So it's
Well,
always
I'm excited to have you back, and I'm really excited to come see you. And maybe it's the Fountains of Wayne band that I'd come to see you for, or
okay.
the Kite to Camden full one-man show that you're planning to do in January. But yeah, thank you, Nick, so much for being on the show, and I look forward to hearing how this goes next year when we talk again.
Thank you for having me. It's a real pleasure.
And that's it for today's conversation. We've been talking with Nick deMatteo about his various projects and his song coaching business. My thanks to Nick and to you for joining us. And if you like what you heard today, I'd appreciate it if you would like and either subscribe or follow to make sure you get notified about every new episode. And please tell your friends. Additionally, I want to know what you think, so please leave me a comment and I'll try to respond to all of them. The Rock and Roll Show podcast is a World Highway Media production. I'm your host, Alex Gadd, and until next time, remember that life is short, so get those concert tickets. I would love to see you live and meet you in person, but also I love Fountains of Wayne. So
I love that you have that commonality with me. That's
yeah, right on.
not everybody knows anything besides Stacy's mom, so I appreciate that.